one time I got pregnant, wanted to talk about it. None of my friends were pregnant, so instead I'll vlog about it. Bob, stop, you're embarrassing me.
Hi everyone, I am Greta. This is my dog Professor. Let's just get the obvious out of the way. He's wearing a cone. He wears a cone because he licks at his paws neurotically. And at this point, the vet says the option is to either leave him in a cone or get him on Xanax. And I am just not ready to put my dog on Xanax yet. So if you are watching this video, you are probably either pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, or maybe you fell asleep and YouTube's on an auto playlist and somehow it pulled me up. Whether you're taking a nap or you're pregnant, congratulations. As of tomorrow, I will have completed 11 weeks of pregnancy. So I have obviously not done any other pregnancy vlogs before this. Let's just get that out of the way as well. It's because I was fucking tired as hell. So if you are pregnant with me right now, you probably understand. You too may be wondering, why am I so sleepy all the time? This is dumb. I think it's dumb too. I think that we should get a petition going to have pregnant ladies not be so sleepy in their first trimester because no one friggin' understands. But you can make them understand. Just be like, hey loser, how about you Google first trimester progesterone and you'll be like, oh, that's why you're so sleepy, because your body is literally pumping you full of a ton of extra progesterone, which is what makes you sleepy. So you can just tell them, fuck you, yes, I do get to nap. And no, being tired when you're pregnant is not all about being giant. Otherwise, you would only be tired in your third trimester. And you're not. I would actually argue that you are sleepy in your first trimester and exhausted in your third, which are similar but very different feelings. So I'm going to give an overview of my pregnancy. I actually got pregnant in June, and about 1 week after I found out, I had a super early term miscarriage. The next month, we kind of tried again, not really. And the next month was August, which we did get pregnant again, and so far, so good. This is my second pregnancy. I have a daughter who is 1 year and 4 months old, so she's gonna be just like this close to being 2 when the next baby is due. If you are one of the people out there who is still trying to conceive, I super recommend you go on Amazon and order a bunch of these pregnancy tests called Wandfo. I can't speak for their fertility tests, but the pregnancy tests with my last pregnancy, my miscarriage pregnancy, and this one all gave me like an extremely faint but for sure pink line on the day my period was expected. I also recommend using a period app. I use iPeriod. I know my sister uses Eve, and there's a whole bunch of other ones that will help you predict when your next period is coming, and therefore it will help over time calculate where your fertile window is. Yeah, they're super cheap. You can use like a million of them without feeling bad, because I think they break down to like 25 cents a pop instead of like $1. Even before I got my positive, I was suspecting I was pregnant because one, my mineral water started tasting extremely tangy, which I guess can be a sign of low iron. I would get dizzy spells even while I was still sitting down, which is very strange for me. And carrying things in my mouth, which when you're hauling around a toddler is like your third hand, you do pretty frequently, started to make me feel gaggy, essentially, which I was like, definitely pregnant, gotta be. And I was. So those were my signs. My boobs didn't actually start to get very sore until recently, and maybe that's because they've already been through this whole thing once. They did plump back up again, which is nice, because after breastfeeding they were just like a little saggier than I'd been used to for the last year of like pregnancy, breastfeeding, huge Mongo melon boobs. But one thing I'm not going to be doing in any pregnancy vlog ever, probably, is I'm not going to like personally weigh in. I'm not going to measure my stomach, because you know what? Like, I'm going to get big. I got up to almost 190 pounds with my last pregnancy. And no matter what your size is, you're always going to be too big or too little to someone. And I think we just need to kind of get over the specifics. I mean, as long as your blood pressure is doing all right, you're doing all right. Once I had my confirmed pregnancy, I would say my symptoms showed up in this order: gassiness, fatigue, mild food disinterest, friggin' crazy mouth ulcers, which are apparently also can be a sign that you're low on iron or like vitamin B. So I did make sure to up my iron intake because I just have a difficult time absorbing iron. I always have, probably always will. And then food disinterest has sort of become food aversions. Oh, like super nose showed up really early too. Like the dog stank from across the room. The sheets smelled like my husband's body odor that evening before we'd even gotten into bed. Perfumes were extra potent. Walking through the grocery store was like a minefield. I feel like my nose has actually chilled out a little bit, or maybe I'm just more used to it now. But that was definitely contributing to some of the like food issues where I was just like, oh, that is super unappealing. So as I moved closer to being 8 and 9 weeks pregnant, I started getting twinges in my hips as far as like probably tendons stretching, muscles expanding. Your body releases a whole bunch of relaxin, so everything gets kind of like loosey-goosey. Also like really crazy vivid dreams, which is nice because a lot of them are really satisfying sex dreams, but I'm also getting a lot of stress dreams. More recently, I've started to be tired to the point where if I don't nap during my daughter's nap, I will have such a finicky stomach by that night that I pretty much end up just eating white rice and fizzy water because I know I need to eat so I don't get a headache, but I also can't bear the thought of having anything with any real flavor. Sometimes I'll like suck on those ginger lozenges. I know C-Band makes some. Preggy Pops does the ginger drops. You can just go to your like local hippie store and pick up some like hard ginger candies. Thankfully, I'm not nearly as all-out nauseous as I was my last pregnancy. I was even having trouble taking my prenatals like at night before I'd go to bed. I'd go to bed and I'd wake up 20 minutes later like, oh my God, what are my prenatals doing to my stomach? And I haven't been having that problem this time at all, which is a relief. It also took a lot longer this pregnancy for the headaches to show up. My first really like big bad headache showed up Friday morning as a regular light headache, and by that afternoon it was completely murdering my face. Went to bed in a large amount of pain, woke up, it was like pretty better, but then once my day got going it just got awful again. Saturday night it was the worst, like crying or trying to like tears leaking out and being like, ugh, but actually like crying would make my head hurt even worse, so I couldn't really cry. Just like ice on my head, ice pack under my head, like drinking water and like taking Tylenol on a timer. And then Sunday morning I woke up and it was still pretty bad, but it abated throughout the day. So that was my worst headache. Emotionally, I've definitely had an increased rate of irritability and forgetfulness, which I know forgetfulness isn't exactly an emotion, but we're going with like ailments of the mind. As far as being like sad, excited, happy, like anxious, I would say those are all happening at the same frequency, but it's just like the volume's turned up. Like I'm either like, ah! Or I'm like, oh no, I'm like really sad. Like normally I would just be like, eh, but now I'm gonna cry about it. Or being like, instead of anxious, instead of being like, oh man, like I'm kind of stressed, I'm like, I can't handle being an adult. So that's the worst. Sometimes I have to just like let my husband know that I'm just like, hey, my hormones are spiked. I'm just angry. So you can like hang out and I can try to not be angry at you, or like you can just go a safe distance away and like just know that I'm angry and just give me some space. He doesn't really mind the like increased happiness or increased sadness. He's very good about comforting me. And I like, everyone's always like, pregnant ladies are so crazy and mad and angry and don't piss them off. And it's like, you know what? It's just not all anger. You just don't mind the other ones as much, so they don't get the bad rap. But we do still get angry. It's just that anger is just notched way up. But yeah, my week 11, I've noticed a little bit more energy finally. I'm not quite as sleepy. I've taken a subtle turn for the better as far as being able to eat more variety of foods again. I was definitely stuck on like a diet of white rice, kiwis, and Greek yogurt for about 2 weeks. And headaches started, so that's bad. I'm sweaty. I got like really sweaty in the last couple days, but that could just be because the AC, we have a Nest thermostat, and it keeps thinking I'm gone and being like, okay, we'll get up to 77 degrees. Thankfully, all of my pregnancy symptoms seem lighter this time around. They weren't too bad. All things considered, even my last pregnancy wasn't too bad. There are a lot of people having an extremely hard time. And if you are one of those people, I would like to say to you, don't compare yourself too much to the like videos you see on YouTube, because anyone really feeling that miserable isn't making videos. Like, you aren't alone. You aren't the only one feeling so gross. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to be hyper motivated and get everything ready in time for the baby and be eating super well and like force yourself through like the food aversions and the nausea because for the sake of the baby to be healthy. Like, as long as you're staying hydrated, as long as you are having your prenatals, and as long as you are getting in some like non-destructive calories, obviously cut back on the important things like don't smoke, don't drink, don't bust mercury thermometers. But I feel like having too many stress hormones can be just as bad for your baby as failing to eat greens for an entire month because they make you want to upchuck. So just like, be good to you, because your chemical balance is affecting your baby's chemical balance. And so just try to take it easy on you. Okay? Hopefully I can start doing these weekly. I'm not gonna put that pressure on myself though, because I'm feeling okay this week today doesn't say much about next week. However, I am going to continue to try my absolute best. I have a different YouTube channel called Dear Teen Diary. You can go find it at youtube.com/GretaSore. And last time I was pregnant, I let all of my creative projects completely just drop off the face of the earth. But not this time, hopefully. So you can go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you want. That way you will know if I do decide to post more videos over here. But if you just want to like hang out with me more, or if you're laying around miserable and pregnant and you would like, a good 100 videos worth of me reading old high school diaries, you can go over there and subscribe as well. I'll put a link if you want to go subscribe to that. I don't know how to link properly to a channel, but I do know how to do a subscription link. I hope this provided you with some commiseration. That's why I watch all the pregnancy videos on YouTube, is I'm like, feel my pain. All right. Bye, y'all.